Welcome to Stars of Service. I'm your host, Brian Christensen. You're a veteran. You know that at the end of May, here comes Memorial Day, full steam ahead, and it can hit you. And every year about this time, that's when I feel my own pace, my well-being, everything else, it just kind of slows down a little bit. And I've always kind of wondered why and just started to take a look back at my own career in the Air Force when I served and some of the things that I went through, I endured, and I thought I would bring in a friend to talk about our service and what Memorial Day means to both of us. My friend John Sweat, retired captain, also city council member of the city of Concord. Uh, you have a full plate.
I do, but being in the military, it was a normal transition into. I call myself an elected official, not a politician, because I serve the people and I give the best that I can to take care of them. But to me, it was a normal transition. We were serving in the Guard, we were serving our community and our state. And as I came towards retirement, this opportunity came up and I just transitioned over. And it's been a very good transition to keep me one busy, but then at the same time to keep me going to help people that need help.
You're according to your Facebook, you are just on fire all the time. You are always somewhere. You're always meeting people. You're always doing stuff. I want to just real quickly talk about what's your typical day like as a city official like that?
Well, we can start with today. It happens to be a day off, and I'm with you, which I enjoy that. And
I'm honored.
I'm
Thank you.
honored. But that day would start with my employer. I have a real employer. I say that that's my full time job. But I'll go home this afternoon. If I worked today, I would go home this afternoon, or on my lunch break at work, contact some of my constituents with a challenge of. Recently, it was tractor trailer parking near a subdivision, and as you've seen, they kind of have to park anywhere they can. There's so much
I feel like we've done a
on the
story about
road.
that.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, that's what my day is. I'll come home, I'll spend some time with the family, I'll answer some questions or emails, I'll meet with constituents that wanna, come to this area of Concord to build or
Right.
bring a corporation there. I get that opportunity too, and then get to meet up with my constituents out there if they have a drainage issue in their yard or something. So it is full time, and the family works into it as well. And so blessed to have a great wife and a great family that supports me to
First
do
and
these things.
foremost, fantastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the biggest thing.
Let's take a time travel back to when you first even thought about joining the military. And why was that a choice in how did that become a choice for you?
Would be very honest, and I see this picture you pulled up now, from band. So, just for a moment, that band marching helped me out so much with basic training learning to march. I didn't know it would come there. My father had just started pushing me and pushing me at 14. Hey, 18's coming, join. And I said, it's not my gig, not my gig. So I went
The
to community,
musical ability part or the marching part?
any of it. I thought just going into the military, because you have those things with your family. Your father usually that pushes you, and you kind of resist against, you know. But
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so growing up, and then I spent some years at CPCC, and then I woke up working a third shift job, a first shift job, and going to school, and I realized there's got to be something better, and there was, and I went
Mhm.
down and saw Lenny Somerville, and he put me in, and, right after work one morning, went to the big, I think it was the pink building there on Independence, went
Mhm.
upstairs and said, "I wanna do something." Security police was open, and the rest is kinda history. It's a great ride for 24 years, 9 months, 23 days.
Not counting down or
Not
anything.
at all.
Geez. So were you Air National Guard entirely, or were you in the Air Force
Active
active
duty
duty?
first, yeah,
Yeah.
active duty went in 1986, and then I came out, December 31st, 1995. We'd had our twins, and so we came back home, and I didn't miss any service. January 1st, 1996, I contacted security police here at the Guard, prior to that, of course, and they brought me on as a trainer for the unit. And so I made a good transition, didn't miss any days of service. And then the rest is history from there as well, because that was February 2nd, 2011, I retired.
So going back a little bit by this picture, Norman
Oh, yeah.
Schwarzkopf, tell me about that.
Spent some time, of course, when we kicked off, Desert Shield and Storm. So I spent time in theater from September until late March when we had done most of the things we'd set forth to do as far as air superiority, et cetera.
Right.
And then I came back. But this was at the Bob Hope show for Christmas, and I met Johnny Bench.
Oh, wow.
Aaron
Yes.
Tippin was
Uh-huh.
singing, and then also got a chance to meet Bob Hope's wife. Adorable, awesome. He was so welcoming. And then I saw this big guy, and I walked
The
up to him.
general.
Yeah, I walked up and said, "I think I know you," because I was working at certain places around
Sir, I
Saudi
think I know
Arabia.
you.
And he said, "Yeah," and I said, "Can I get a picture?" And he pulled me in and had that big bear grip, and that was his nickname anyway. And I was like, "Wow!" And that has I've always looked at that and go, "That was a great moment in time that somebody that had that type of, I won't say power, but authority and that type of vision took a moment." And
Mhm.
that's what I tried to also transition when I would serve with you in the Guard. No matter what rank, you have to know your people. You have to be a people person. You can't let a rank or anything else come to you. You get a big head about it, or
Right.
you don't treat people right.
Especially when they treat you, they're almost like a father figure towards a large group,
Right.
squadron, flight,
Exactly.
whatever it is.
That's right.
Um, you know, we've got these wonderful pictures of you all
Mm.
throughout your career and everything else, and basic training and tech school, whatever else. Talk about that camaraderie, that the friendship, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the when you are that tight and you have those hard times. Talk about that.
There's none other. The only thing I've equated to on the civilian side is a police and fire bond, because they go through tough times together and they bond together when it is tough. But yes, the military, it still is home. I still have some people call me as a retiree and want to talk, but that bond, and you mentioned earlier in the segment here that Memorial Day, that brings us closer. And if you haven't served before, y- I won't discount anybody that hasn't served or say anything bad about somebody that hasn't served, but you have to serve. And I highly respect everybody that served with or attempted to serve. That bond comes at Memorial Day more. You go through things together. You have friendships you build forever, and you stay in touch with those people. You have a good day, it's the best of both worlds. Awesome. You have a tough day, they're there to pick you up. And the people you bond with, especially in the military, they know. They can see it on your face and see it in your stride when you come into work. Um, yeah, like I said, this time of year is tough. It's hard.
John, you and I experienced a lot at the Guard, and the toughest time was when we lost a crew of four, um, July 1st, 2012. Uh, the crew, MAF 7, fighting fires over South Dakota. That was the first time our base lost a crew, four people. And that was the first time it really, it just, everything changed. The momentum, everything else changed. Talk about it's before that, it was, Memorial Day, this, we've got to honor. But then when it hits you, shoulders are numb. How do we honor when we're, you know, we can feel a little bit down and everything?
Well, our training, fortunate and unfortunate, has us able to compartmentalize at times and silo something off. So we can go, this was a tough time right here. We can go into a silo and take care of, for lack of words, business and grieving, take care of other people. And then we find our time for ourselves.
Mhm.
And, because we always put others first. That's what we're trying to do.
Right.
That was like I said, that was a very tough time. And from outside looking in, civilians, oh, you're just going over a weekend a month and a couple weeks a year. No, this drove that home to where it is peacetime or in war that things can happen.
Right.
And it's no different serving. The intensity may be different in a wartime versus peacetime, but this team here that went out there, they had their mission to do, and they went at it full force and took care of it, and was not scared of what was going to happen if it would happen. They woke up just like you and I today, thinking it's going to be a great day. We're going to go out and fulfill the mission. And get a phone call late night, early morning, and it was hard.
It was I the same phone call. And within days after that happened, and when the news finally got out, Charlotte, most of Charlotte that didn't even know that there was a military base suddenly knows that there's an Air National Guard here. They've lost the C-130. And if they happen to drive down that street and they saw that gate and seeing all of the flags and all of these posters and everything that just random people were leaving during the weeks after everything happened, it showed you that people are kind and they do honor and they do understand on the outside. And that was something that, seeing that was healing to me, especially having to go through 4 funerals. And, I didn't know any of the guys super close, but being that close to everyone else and just being a part of that, just, you feel it.
You do, and it was very heartwarming to see that. Okay, you recognize what is done, the seriousness of it. It was much better than some of our troops we've welcomed back in a
Right.
much
Yeah.
supposedly happier setting back in Vietnam, and now it just switched over where wow, we have the whole nation, and because the whole nation knew about this, but
Right.
we have especially the Charlotte area just coming to us going, hey, well, let me hug you.
Right.
Let me just leave something on the fence. Let me in a little bit. And they did not know that we did that kind of mission there, and
No,
the dangers that happen in
we're the
peacetime.
Charlotte's best kept secret.
It was. It's an awesome secret,
Yeah.
and I mean, I loved every minute I was there. This was the hard one. This is what we were, trained to weather and understand that it was in the mission, but that didn't make it easy. No matter what training we had.
Welcome back to Stars of Service. I'm your host, Brian Christensen. Behind the scenes, Kevin punching all the keys because I can't do 2 things at once. Why I'm not chewing gum right now. I've got my friend John Sweat, retired Air Force captain, also city council member for the city of Concord. John was you were the uh, services flight commander, which talk a little bit about that.
Well, more at that time frame, yes. Commander, we had a commander, Colonel Irvin became general,
Uh-huh.
and I was one of the services officers in support.
Okay.
So I don't want someone to call me up and say, "Hey, you weren't a command." Do that. Many command duties came with it. That was a great time. I'd been security forces and security police up to my 13th year,
Right.
and then once I commissioned over from staff sergeant over to captain or lieutenant and made captain eventually. It was a transition, but one thing, again, I mentioned earlier, you can't lose your sight for people. That was a tough transition. It wasn't as tough as some I know have had it.
Right.
It was a tough transition to go from helping and working in the kitchen and services or unloading a truck or doing whatever to more of an admin or more of a supervisory duties, which it, it's fine, do it all day, but I want to be in the troops. I want to be there in the grit. I want to have fun with them. I want to have that relationship and not walk in the room, everybody go quiet.
And you certainly were that person. You were always, whenever we would walk into the dining hall or any other type of exercise, you were always there helping your people around. And one thing with that is when, our base at I say our base because like I'm still in or something, but during that time, you were also involved with the base honor guard and you were an officer and you don't see that, at different bases or whatever else. But here you are as a second or first lieutenant and taking commands, if you will, from a staff sergeant or tech sergeant, whoever was in charge. You wanted to be a part of that. And there's a couple pictures here that we're going to get into, but talk about, there you are at the 9/11 2002, the 1 year anniversary
Anniversary.
of 9/11. There was a absolutely huge ceremony that they had in uptown Charlotte at Marshall Park. Here you are as part of the base honor guard. Talk about what that was like to be a part of that.
It was huge. I can't even explain to you how great that was being to come out there the first year, the anniversary, and not to, of course, celebrate that, but to recognize, hey, we're back on target. We are back. We got kicked a little bit, but we're back at it. And
Right.
it was to see those people there, you have to just focus on what you're doing to lay the wreath, and make sure you get that right.
Right.
And but the people was awesome. There was tears. There was people waving flags. There was people wanting to talk to us afterwards. And like I said, I love the name of your show, but we've never seen each other as heroes, you and I, as much as we talk. We're people that served in the military, and that was a day that we spotlight and say, "Hey, we're here. We're ready. We're gonna give you some remembrance," and how dignified that was. That was an awesome day.
It was I had no idea what the day was going to actually even be like. I thought it was gonna be the typical Charlotte type of ceremony where you might
Right.
see a couple dozen people, if that,
Yeah.
and the park was absolutely, filled, and it I'm trying to take pictures. I'm crying, it was already hot anyway, but, sweat and tears down my face, and, uh, but I'm so glad I got some pictures of you from that day that we're able to go back and look at. Um, so you being on the honor guard, having this amazing ability and wanting to serve on top of already serving, like just triple serving, if you will. Here you go. The following, I guess it was the following year
I think it was.
at the Coca-Cola 600,
Yes.
and you, along with several other honor guard team members,
Oh,
presented the colors, uh, fired the volleys, um, and as you know, Memorial Day hits you and it hits you hard. Sort of like the heat that comes in on Coca-Cola 600 in Concord that end of May, just all of a sudden
yes.
this swamp, humid, everything else just hits you.
Right.
What was that day?
It was, we'd had great training, as you said. Not from necessarily myself. We had, 2 other staff sergeants training the whole team, including myself. And that training came through that day. We had to focus, not worry about adjusting our hats or something when the sweat's coming down your face or whatever that may be. You're soaked
Yeah,
through your uniform. But we knew that what we were doing was bigger.
right,
And Greg Walters and his team there at Charlotte always put on not a show, but they put on a remembrance.
right.
And every time they go where, okay, it's okay to cook out, it's okay to celebrate with family, it's okay to come to a race, but let's remember what this is really about. This
Right.
not a day off of work, even though it is, but to us it means so much more.
I don't think you can get more patriotic than a track full of NASCAR enthusiasts anyway.
Right,
But
right.
to have seen you all there who have this amazing ability to, serve before self and just serving on top of serving, it's just, you all are amazing. Um,
Well, they were, Brian.
you were part of it, so
Right,
you
but
have to, Mr. Humble,
no,
take it. I do know I was wearing shorts and a polo that day. I thought I was hot. Um, quick note about this. I know that on the way out of that area, I
right.
heard the story from Command Chief Early. By the way, to anybody who doesn't know this, Chief Early was also on the honor guard. So
That's
you
right.
had a lieutenant and a command chief master sergeant. Where
Correct.
else in the Air Force would you see a command chief and a lieutenant on an honor guard?
Can't say anywhere. I mean, that doesn't make us
There we go.
special,
That's
but
him right
I
there.
can't say, "Oh, he was awesome."
Uh,
He is awesome. I can't say that enough that the whole team again, it came together, and that's the thing we've talked about previously about the military. It's a family.
right,
So if one of us would have fallen, down on our duties that day, dropped a rifle or tripped or something, or even passed out,
right,
the next person would have grabbed us up and taken care of us. It's not about the embarrassment of doing
right.
that. It's about taking care of that member beside you.
Yeah.
You don't know sometimes their religion. You don't know sometimes their background. You don't know really at times until you get to know them anything about them. It doesn't matter. They're in you. Doesn't matter. They're with you. That's what.
Well, to end with that, I understand that after you guys basically walked away from the opening ceremonies, instead of going to or however it ended up, it wasn't, you were taken in by some people in a Winnebago. and they just told you, here's some water or whatever else.
Took care of it.
And so instead of going to or being led to like the some suite or something, you had some fans that took care of you.
Of course, yeah, and we had turned down doing anything like that as far as going to a suite or doing anything. It wasn't about us. And then to have a fan that's there not to see us go out and do a volley, not to see us march out or present colors. They were there to see the race.
Right.
And this was an added bonus to them. That's how they said it. And just offered whatever we needed, to do that. And then afterwards we saw the Air Force car that was running and some of that team, but we didn't go into the niceties of sitting in air conditioning. We were out there to show the honor guard and what we are and to give our
Right.
little bit back that day. But that was awesome to have civilians. Hey, what's going on? Come on, do this. And that wasn't the only one. It was just everyone, almost just brought us meals, for lack of better words. But
Hmm.
that was a day I always remember. And thanks to you, you always bring up pictures and send them to me in text and things like just when
Hey, remember this
yeah,
day?
exactly. Just when I remember and I've got a picture somewhere, but then, hey, guess what, John? Just like the one you sent me yesterday. So the remembrance is so awesome.
What is that like to go back to that day?
I still feel the tears and the sweat. Well, it was just very somber. And there's no time ever when we bury a service member that the taps and the volley doesn't make you cry.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, how
Right.
big and tough you can be. That's a normal emotion that I don't shy away from. That's not asking saying, "Hey, great John, you do that." No, I don't shy away from that because it's a natural emotion, and I don't mind telling people.
When you see people, they wear their whatever type of shirt it is, Air Force or Navy or Marines, whatever, they're wearing their service. When do you stop letting your service wear you?
That's always a tough thing, and we really do not. And we do not. It's a check that we've written with an open-ended balance, but we have to find ways to deal with that. We have to find ways to, as I said earlier, compartmentalize or silos some of those emotions and feelings. And we're not taught that way in the military. We're taught to be tough, go forward. Nobody sees you cry. Nobody sees you upset or anything. You just go and do it.
Right.
Okay. Don't question it. Just do it. And with that mentality and that training, we really have to seek help sometimes to find a way to put that not aside, but put that in its proper place for the proper time and realize there's a world out there with family and friends that they need our attention and help too.
Right.
And it's so hard to come forward and say that.
I've noticed on your Facebook, I do the same thing sometimes. You just post mental health matters, and it wasn't until probably the last 10 years realizing, wow, all of these things, all of these different events have really taken a toll on me. But you got to do stuff to offset it, whatever. But what made you want to do?
It does matter. And it didn't come about to take the importance in my life as it does now until about 4.5 years ago. I was very, very tired. I was in a leadership job, management job. There was not exactly proper management. It wasn't leadership above me.
Right.
And so going to work, it just took its toll. And going to work, I was like, I don't have to deal with the stress anymore. And furthermore, I can't. So when you go, as you know, when we go to the VA, one of the first questions they ask is, have you thought about harming yourself or others? Go out and talk to someone today. And for years, I had said, I got it. We're good. What's
Right.
next?
Right.
Blood pressure? Yeah, we got this. But I piped up 4.5 years ago. So yeah, I do. I do. I need to. And from there, I have learned to cope more and through the therapy and through just the talking to someone on a regular basis about what's going on in your life. And also having your friends and your family see you as, okay, you're a lot less stressed. I don't understand. What are you going through? Well, I've learned to kind of cope a little bit with different ways and channels, uh, and realize you don't have to be that guy.
Right.
You don't have to go out here and every day not let something bother you because somebody's watching you. You can be that person still. And as I said, sometimes I compartmentalize and go off on my own and do my thing to get therapy on my own.
We all do. I do. There are times where I'm just I just started paddleboarding and I just
Yeah,
can't
I saw
stop.
that.
It is the best. It is just absolutely you remove everything away and no one's talking to you, your phone is not going off, whatever else. It is for me, it is therapeutic in itself. Man, John, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, how much I've always seen you as not just a brother, a leader, someone who sets the standard. You are continuously serving on top of serving. And I'm like, how do I have energy to keep going? You're truly an amazing man.
Too kind, and I didn't bring any cash with me today for that. But you're too kind. I feel the same about you. I love you, brother. You are a brother. Every time I've seen you on any kind of event, or we just pick up the phone and chat, or we just text, it's timely. It
Your buddy
happens,
checks come exactly when I need them.
and I don't see that or know that, and I don't think it's that special. I just want to tell people, hey, somebody cares. Hey, how are you doing? It's a check in because we're all busy, and
Yeah.
it's a very easy check in, but there's a lot of passion behind it and care.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.